New Kids on the Block. We're going to use stories that top the nation's papers, fresh from the IVM and the Center National School Desk. This show is brought to you by Intel. Future Banao Wonderful with an Intel-powered laptop. Hi, I'm Kavya.
I'm Anya.
And I'm Trivik.
And welcome to this episode of New Kids on the Block, where we give you all the top news updates of the week. I'm going to give it to you for the first story. And we're bringing back something that we really hope we never have to see again. But yeah.
Thank you, Kavya. And with that, we will take it over for our first story of the day, which is a COVID update. As masks have been made mandatory again in India, all passengers on flights must wear masks at all stages of their journey. And those who fail to comply with this order could be deboarded from the plane or barred from flying for a minimum of 3 months. And we will also start carrying out checks at airports. This is something which Arun Kumar, the Director General of the DGCA, has told the Hindu. So it's sad to see that we're moving back towards apparently a COVID state. I know a lot of people who got the bug recently, and I know it's sad because we thought we were finally coming out of this world, this life. Everyone is excited for the first COVID-free summer since 2020, but unfortunately, guys, you should stay masked up because it is rampant again. Maybe not rampant, but it's back. And just be cautious and take precaution to keep yourself and your family safe. And with that, I will be passing it on to Kavya Hebbar for our next story.
Thank you, Trivik. The next story I have for you is an environmental story. It is about a speech that was recently made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi during Environment Day. He spoke about the fact that India is now making consistent efforts to combat climate change. And in his speech, he mentioned India's effort to create green jobs. I quote, he said, "There is another aspect of these efforts of India in fighting climate change, which is rarely discussed, and that is the subject of green jobs. The way India is taking decisions in the interest of the environment and implementing them rapidly is also generating a large number of green job opportunities. This is also a topic that should be thought about." Now, you might be wondering, what are green jobs? So green jobs are basically a class of jobs that directly have a positive impact on the environment and contribute to the overall welfare of the environment. So, for example, jobs that include renewable energy or conserving resources and stuff like that, which is basically aiming at reducing the negative environmental impact that economic sectors and jobs have, and furthering the process of creating a low-carbon economy. And I think this is really important because India is coming to a point where they are really expanding their environmental agenda and really focusing on making the country more green and cleaner and greener. So with people getting jobs that are directly positively impacting the environment, I think it's a big part of creating environmental change. On that note, it is time to take a quick break with Intel-powered laptops, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block, where we bring to you all the top stories of the week. Our next story for you today comes from the National Highways Authority of India, who has set India's latest world record in the Guinness Book of World Records. Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister for Road Transport and Highways, received a certificate. And basically what they did was the longest piece of asphalt or bituminous concrete laid continuously was achieved by Rajpath Infracon Private Limited and Jagdish Kadam between the districts of Amravati and Akola on the National Highway 53 between 3rd to 7th June. The NHAI lodged their name in the Guinness Book of World Records by constructing 75 kilometers of this continuous concrete in a single line, according to Nitin Gadkari's tweet. The road was put together by a team of 800 NHAI official employees and 720 workers, including independent consultants that were involved in the job. Nitin Gadkari tweeted #Connecting India with Prosperity, celebrating the rich legacy of our nation with the #Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav under the leadership of Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. He then referred to the NHAI officials, saying that they successfully completed a Guinness World Record. And yeah, basically the record is that they built this really long road and they completed this entire thing in the shortest period of time possible, using over 800 personnel and 700 workers, including, according to Livemint, which included highway engineers, safety engineers, and surveyors. In the past, Rajput Infracon had also created a world record by constructing a road between Sangli and Satara in 24 hours. So I think we can really see here that efficiency is the key, and this is a great step for the development of India as a whole. I will pass it on to Kavya for our next story.
Thanks, Anna. The next story I have for you today is one that I'm really excited to do because it's one that's going to have such a huge impact on people everywhere. So we've all heard of cancer and we know how deadly it is. It is the leading cause of death worldwide. It accounts for nearly 1 in 6 deaths in the world, according to the WHO. In the history of this deadly disease, you never actually found a complete cure for it. We found ways to suppress it. We found ways to treat it on a smaller level, but we never found a cure for it. And for the first time in a small clinical trial in the US, it showed 100% eradication of the cancer in patients at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in Manhattan. And this specific trial was done on a pretty small scale with just 18 patients. However, it has raised and created hope that we might be able to, with further research, eradicate this disease completely. So like I said, this trial included 18 cancer patients who all took a drug called dostarlimab for around the time of 6 months. And by the end of it, according to the New York Times, each and every one of them got rid of all their tumors. Before this, all 18 patients had undergone various treatments for cancer, including chemotherapy, radiation, and invasive surgery. But this was the only one that proved to be effective in eradicating it. According to experts, this drug includes lab-produced molecules and it acts as a substitute antibody in the human body. So obviously, this is an extremely large breakthrough in the field of disease and science, and the fact that we may be able to find a cure for the most deadly disease that affects millions of people every day is truly something that will kindle a spark of hope in people everywhere.
All right then, guys, it is my favorite time of day. Let's move on to our next segment, Time to Brainstorm, powered by Intel. Our question of the week is, if you were the CEO of a top gaming company, what are some of the things that you would focus on?
I think my first decision would be to improve the testing side of things. There are so many times that we see that games are released and then multiple patches come out in order to fix the bugs and inconsistencies that are found in the game later on. Yeah, testing is totally what I'd improve.
I'd absolutely improve the design part. There are so many games, even today, which have a very clunky design and feel like they were made a decade ago. I mean, with the kind of tech we have today, this can totally be improved, right?
You know what I'd improve? I'd improve the AI engine in the games. This includes adjusting difficulties based on a player's skills as well as smarter non-playable characters and their in-game behavior. I'm bored with having characters just roaming around without having much to do. Having a stronger AI engine would ensure that they play a smarter role. Speaking of AI, did you guys check out Intel's latest digital readiness programs? When you buy a new laptop, you get access to over 80 hours of content that helps you learn about artificial intelligence. Future banao wonderful with an Intel-powered PC.
Welcome back to News Kids on the Block. I'm your co-host Trivik Hariharan, and our next story for you today is about cheetahs. Okay, that's a different story for you guys. But 70 years ago, across India, cheetahs were declared extinct. However, so the first batch of 5 to 6 cheetahs will be translocated from South Africa to Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh in order, hopefully looking to re-establish cheetahs across India. And I think this is this is going to be good because I personally big fan of cheetahs. They're my favorite animal. So I'm glad that they're back in my home country. Kavya, you have any thoughts on this story?
No, Trivik, I think it's really cool, and this is definitely a big step in expanding the biodiversity of India.
Wow, Kavya, spoken like a true zoologist.
Yeah, Kavya, I couldn't agree more. Let's move into our final story of the day, where the woman, the myth, and the legend, Mithali Raj, on June 8, 2022, announced retirement from all forms of international cricket. As she retires, she continues to make leaps and bounds in sports for women across the world, remaining the leading run getter in women's ODI. She took to Twitter and then to Instagram, thanking everyone for their love and support. Her final statement read something like this: "Like all journeys, this one too must come to an end. Today is the day I retire from all forms of international cricket. Each time I stepped on the field, I gave my very best with the intent to help India win. I will always cherish the opportunity given to me to represent the tricolour. I feel now is the perfect time to call curtains on my playing career, as the team is in the capable hands of some very young, talented players, and the future of Indian cricket is bright." She continued to thank the BCCI as well as different other people, and said that it was an honor to have led the team and it shaped her as a person as well as Indian women's cricket as well. and that her journey may have ended, but another one beckons, and she will continue to stay involved in the game of cricket and contribute to the growth of women's cricket in India and world over. And she signed off Mithali. I think that Mithali Raj has been like at the forefront of women's sport for so long, like before we were probably even born. And she's just done so much, not only as an athlete and a sports person herself, but if you ever watch an interview of her and Julian Goswami talking, they just talk about how like they used to go for tournaments and World Cups and no one used to know. And then suddenly one year they came back and everyone was like, oh my God, you guys did it. You all went to like the finals of a World Cup. You went to the not the finals. You went to the semi-finals of a World Cup. I think that, she didn't, from her career, she didn't achieve that dream of wanting to win a World Cup for India, but she's inspired so many girls, including myself, to believe in the fact that there is a world of sports out there for women, for girls, and you don't just have to be a part of it, you can be at the top of it. And to see a woman like Mithali Raj doing that consistently for so many years is a legacy, she's, I think for me, her legacy is greater than that of even like, say, Sachin Tendulkar or something. Like, she's beyond that in my eyes. And I'm genuinely, for once, speechless because I don't really know what to say. And I'm incredibly grateful for her having given her life to this game and to empower so many young girls and to empower what the idea of women's cricket is today. And it is, my favorite player all time, Mithali Verma. She posted a picture of them on Instagram, like a story, and she just said, like, thank you for inspiring so many girls, including myself. And I think that just sort of sums it up. And it's been an honor to like have been alive during her legacy.
That is all we have for you today. Thank you for listening. And we will see you next week on another episode of News Kids on the Block, brought to you by Intel. Future Bana Wonderful with an Intel Power Lab.
If you like this episode, don't forget to check out other episodes on the IVM network.
You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
We'll see you next week. But till then, do share this episode with your folks. Stay safe and don't forget to do your homework.